Hello and good vibes, everyone, and welcome to the Good Morning Minute podcast with Angelina. I'm your host, Angelina, and this season we are diving into our series, Takeover Living the Life God Already Won. This series is all about what happens when you stop striving, stop trying to control everything, and finally allow God to take over the areas you've been carrying on your own. So, we're talking about faith, healing, identity, purpose, growth, and the real life moments that transform us from inside out. And today I'm so excited because we have an incredible guest joining us for this conversation. So let's jump in. Hello, Melissa Moritz, or as you like to be called, Messie Missy. How are you?
Hello, I'm honored to be here. I've got to tell you a little different sitting on the other side of the microphone.
It's fun. I've done both. So, doing the interviews, but also being interviewed. And it's so fun. And I love having just casual conversations about life, about God, and about transformation. I think that people that are listening will enjoy the conversation, and it may hit those that are out there listening. It may touch you, and if it doesn't, that's okay. You can just leave it where it's at, or share it for someone that you might know may need the message. But before we get started, Melissa, go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I'm a serial entrepreneur, midlife, mid 40s. I'm owning it now. I was avoiding it for decades, but here we are. Life's gotten messy. Went through a divorce about a decade ago, then got baptized right after the divorce, then remarried into the Christian world, if you will. So I've really taken a whole different approach to religion, that's for sure. But now I've really grown into faith and what it means to dive into the Bible and be led by God and truly surrender. So I've gone through the messy divorce. And then just a few years ago, life got even messier after the rebuild, after the new marriage. Found myself in a whole upside down, topsy-turvy world. Been kind of, I have rephrased this. I am homeward bound. However, for several years, I've been homeless, without a familial home to go to every evening. I am raising teenagers through the mess. And I lost my job. I lost my career. I lost my companies. I lost my bank account. I had nothing else to give or to do but to learn to love myself, to learn how to rebuild, and to give it all to God.
Mm. Oh my gosh, so much there, and so much I can identify with. I didn't get baptized until after my second divorce, and finding God in a whole different perspective. Not that I ever, because I grew up Catholic, so I
Same.
definitely had some. I had some foundation there. You
Mhm.
go through all of that doctrine and the sacraments, and you learn God, through that type of religion. But to be set free, and to really get to relationship with God, that is just a different thing for me. It has really inspired me in so many different ways, and he's definitely someone I lean on in the tough times too. So let's talk a little bit about the mess. Can you share just a little bit more about what it is that maybe you're going through, and how's it in touching you? I mean, because you've lost everything, it just sounds like. And one thing about this, and I love that you started out with being a serial entrepreneur, is you know how to do it already.
I
So
do.
even the loss in that capacity may not be, it is significant, but it may not be so, I don't know what the word is, deterring of your motivation to try again, because you've already created that once, so you have the ability to create it again.
Yeah, I think right now it's really about pivoting. I hate to say this, but it's really true. So for your listeners to lean into God, it is so true. You have to listen to him. So he gave me the experience, right? He gave me the experience of what it's like to go through a divorce, to be a single mom, to raise my kids on my own, 100% financially responsible to raise them, right? All along, he was teaching me what I would need to have to be prepared for the next level of losses. I truly believe this. I mean, from the bottom of my heart. Has it felt like he's deserted me at times? Yes, but he never said we weren't going to go through hard times. He never said we weren't going to find troubles along the pathway, right? So he did prepare me by giving me the skill sets, the MBA, the how to grow a $75 million company, how to be a leader in those roles. What I found though most recently was the past 3 years were my darkest years. Hopefully, I pray to God, hopefully the darkest years of my life, but he did use, I wanted to get through it faster. I was praying, take me through this faster. He didn't. He wouldn't. And I kept hearing him say to me, listen, start the podcast again. Listen, this time it's going to be different. And
Mm,
I heard him, but I couldn't act on it. I wasn't ready to go there yet.
mhm,
And as I did most recently start rebuilding just in the last few months, because I said, fine, fine. I have nothing else but to listen to you. I have
mm,
nothing else. Nothing is working. Everything I was trying was failing miserably. Every rebuild, I wanted to, get a new home. Nope, not yet. Every way I turned, he kept sending me signs along the way. He never deserted me. He was quiet at times and he was loud at times. He just kept leading me. So I've gotten all of this experience now. Just recently, I had this aha moment. Okay, now I can help the woman who are where I used to be. Now I'm prepared for it. Now I'm ready to help that woman. Now I have the tools that I built myself that I've been using to dig my way through the mess every single day. Now he's gotten me prepared for it.
mm. There's so much truth in that to unpack, but it is true. I mean, even in my own journey, whether that be through building a nonprofit, a business, or just in the leadership that I do, there's so much that we do and so many lessons in the failures and just for a lack of better word, in the failures that we learn about ourselves. And I
Mhm.
think that's the glory of God is giving us the opportunity for us to choose to grow from that because there are some times where we just don't want to grow from those failures and we want to it's easy to blame people or
Mhm.
things outside of ourselves, but to actually truly be reflective in those moments and say, oh my gosh, okay, this is teaching me something about the next step or the next phase in your entrepreneur journey or whatever that may be. Was there ever like a season in the moment where you felt like your identity became tied to the performance or the survival or the achievement?
Which part of my identity's morphed so much.
Mhm.
It's
So let's
changed.
talk, yeah, let's talk about how it's changed from the beginning to today. Like, what have you discovered? Because we're talking about the lessons that we're learning through these failures and the opportunity of growth. So let's talk a little bit about that. What was it like then, and how is it different now?
Well, I was a total masculine energy
Oh,
back then,
okay.
right? I was the CEO of a healthcare company running at 35 to 75 million dollars in profitability a year. I had surgeons reporting to me. Who am I? Like, who am I to be in that position? And at that point in my life, I said, God, thank you. This is my purpose. I felt fully aligned. That was my purpose. That's what God prepared me for. He carried me through. He had me meet my new husband, all because I thought He brought all of that together for that, right?
Mhm.
Then it all got shut down like overnight. I was no longer CEO, right? I was, and I really had to lean on Him for like, who am I? Like,
Wow.
and of course you hear like child of God, but okay, I couldn't, that wasn't enough for me. It really, honestly, and I hate to even admit that, but it wasn't enough for me to continue to figure out who I am, what God's purpose is for my life. When you take everything away from me, right? Like I was stripped down to still living out of a suitcase right now.
Mm.
Who am I? I mean, and you really you go on a deep dark search exploration, and I'm still on it. I'm absolutely still on who am I? What's my purpose in life? Why was I born? I mean, I've had that with God.
Mhm.
Um, but He always shows up. Always. And it
Yeah.
is, I call them crazy God, or I call them crazy good, crazy God moments. And they're almost unbelievable. And He shows up to me in all sprinkles things throughout my path every day. So many times I'll say, God, I need to hear from you right now. I need help. I need you. No matter, what I'm going through, right? Parenting is hard. Like that identity, mid 40s identity, like who are you? Of course you're a child of God, but there's who does God want you to be, right? And that's all boils down to love. And so you even mentioned like letting go, right? You cannot carry anger with you. You
Ooh.
just can't. So that's in
So,
the surrender.
yeah. And I don't mean to cut you off, but as you're touching into this, it prompts a question. So, was there something that God revealed? Because you talk about anger. So, was there something in the mess of it all that God revealed to you that needed maybe you to heal or unlearn?
Well, back to what you had asked previously about like
Yeah.
the identity, and I was masculine. I was a big B word. Like
Oh.
I had to step into a persona to get a job done, right?
Mm.
Like metrics to hit, people to report to, had to hit a half a million to $1 million payroll every month. I mean, you have to step into that identity. And I don't know. I really don't know right now because God removed all of that from me. I am not that person anymore. I am not the masculine, headstrong, even to the point where I've felt like not unworthiness, but not enough bravery, not enough belief in myself. So He's removed everything. And I don't think, I know I'm in the rebuild, and the rebuild is very different. The rebuild is pouring into other women, helping people, serving people. And I think that I will become through it, but I'm not it. I'm just so different.
Mm. And I can understand the difference because I've been through it myself. Like the transformation from dying from your flesh
Mhm.
into living through God, through the surrender. And for me, there was a moment where there were some things that I tapped into to help me shift from just the surviving
Mm.
mentality or the surviving of it all into truly living. What was it for you?
Trusting Him.
Hmm.
All you can do is trust Him. When you're in survival mode, you're paralyzed. You don't know how you're gonna get through a day. Where are you gonna sleep at night? How are you gonna pay for groceries? How are you gonna pay for gas? And gas helps me on my side hustle right now, right? Like all you can do is trust Him, like with a capital exclamation, everything. And if you're going through something really messy right now, and if you don't know how to do it, it's not for you to figure out how. It really isn't. I can't tell you how. I don't know how I'm doing it. One day I couldn't pay for gas. I showed up. The gas tank was prepaid for my what I needed.
Mm,
It isn't in us to know the how. It's in us to trust him enough with all we have. And faith without works is dead. So if you think this is all woo woo, right? If you're out there and you're going through something really nasty right now and you don't trust God because you can't see how he's going to make the way,
mhm,
you have to show up with him and for him and follow him. You have to give it all to him. And it is so scary, but I'm still here. So I have a purpose. You have to do faith without works. Faith with works. Faith without works is dead. If I didn't start building my personal brand, it wouldn't be trusting in him that that's what he wants for me, for my life right now.
mm. There's so much there. So when you tell me that, so one of the scriptures that I've been leaning on for the past year now is trust in God with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And that has helped me in those hard to place moments where you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to bring logic into something that is almost supernatural
It
because
is.
we're talking about God, right? And he's and his miracles. I mean, you're talking about stepping in and your gas tank already being prepaid and giving you and providing for you in that moment. I have miracle moments like that as well in my life and in my journey. And I love what you're saying here because you mentioned how your old identity was very masculine and you even reference being the B word and those things. I too was like that so many years ago when I started in my profession and I too was like that. And I found that God puts us in these moments that I call full circle moments
Hmm.
where I have literally said this phrase out loud. I have said, I don't have to like you to work with you. We just need to get the job done. And I think that's hitting something for you too. But it was in the year it was in this year where I had someone sit before me and say that exact phrase. And at first I was like, okay, your ego's in the way, you kind of try to be a little defensive, whatever. But as I marinate on
Hmm.
that and in the word of God, it was a full circle moment because what God has showed me even in the leadership was now you can be the teacher. Now you can lean in and lead with the compassion and the love that I've
Mhm.
showed you. And so it was such a beautiful moment. And I really am seeing a lot of that in you and just seeing how inspired you are because sometimes when life hits us with those downs, we want to just kind of throw in the towel. And it's not to say that we don't feel it because we definitely do. We're human. We feel the feels, but we get back up. And I think that's where the inspiration I find in you and in your story is the getting back up. You're like, this isn't the end for me. This is just another chapter in the book that of life that you've been given. So I want to ask you, Melissa, like, what does living from victory instead of fighting for victory mean to you personally?
Hmm. That is a really good question.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting for victory anymore.
Mhm.
And part of me, I will say when I just said that, part of me is sad. I am a fighter. I love to fight. I love to fight for what's right. I love to fight for what's true. I love to fight for what's just. I've been so beaten down, even in those areas, right? Fighting for what's true, what's just, what's like, how did I get here? and nothing that's happened to me feels victorious at all, right? So then you have victory or victim. And I've really, really wrestled with I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim of circumstance. I'm not a victim of anything that's happened to me. Everything is happening for me.
Mm. Yes.
But to find victory for me right now, I'm a runner. I'm a competitive long distance runner. If you were to say victory for me would be crossing a finish line, right? No matter if I'm going for a PR or I'm just pushing myself as hard as I can and I've overcome it and I've crossed that finish line for a half marathon. That's victory. That's a finish line. That's victory. For me right now, I don't see a victory in that way any longer. I see victory in my small wins. That's
Mm.
all I can take right now. That's all I can grasp onto and celebrate and feel good about things right now because I would say like victory would be moving into my new home. Of course, I've prayed for that for 3 years now, but that's not what God has planned for me. So instead of trying to set this victory line of like of something monumental right now for me, victory is in the small wins. Victory is in the fact that I can get out of bed, brush my teeth, wash my hair, eat protein, put on an outfit, and show up for this podcast. You don't understand. 2 years ago, I couldn't do that. Victory is now I'm building a personal brand. Victory is now I have courage to stand in front of you and share my story. I was embarrassed.
Mm.
So God's really taught me like when you say surrender and it feels like I don't know how I can't, it's going to be painful. You have no, he left me with no choice but to surrender.
Mhm. Mm. And so, on that note, what would you say to someone listening who feels exhausted from the trying to hold everything together?
You have to keep trying. And you have to remember that you're not holding it all together. He is holding it all together. And whatever is meant for you will be for you. Whatever's not meant for you, he's removing. He really is. And that can be really difficult to face.
Mm.
But you have to remember you are not alone. I mean, this is very spiritual for me, this conversation, because I wouldn't be here without God. Honestly, I would not. I am 110% only here because of God.
Wow. And just when you talk about surrender and when you talk about, you're not alone, so much comes to mind just in my own personal reflection, but also too in the scripture, because for me, the turnaround was Jeremiah 29:11, that God has hope and a future for you.
Yeah, he has the plans for you.
He has the plans, but we also have free will in a lot of what we choose here on earth. So we choose some of the things that probably aren't the best for us. And it's not that God can't intervene, but he doesn't intervene because he's letting us operate from our free will. And so that's why some of those times we may not make the best of the choices and the consequences come, but you're not alone in the consequences because he's still walking you through that.
Absolutely.
And in those consequences, again, just kind of going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, it's allowing us to grow from them, to
Hmm.
learn more about ourselves so that we can get back on track for the plans that he has for us. The plans never change, they're there. We decide as the humans that we are, the
Hmm.
prideful, the ego, with the
Yeah.
egos and all of that, to detour off of the what do they call it? The straight and the narrow. We detour off of that to go do the things that we want to do, but that's also us trying to take control of our lives and not surrendering it to God. Because
Mhm.
to surrender, it's allowing God to lead. But
Yep.
sometimes we get in those high moments where we aren't faced with challenges, there aren't barriers, we're not troubled, and we're flying high. We're just like, okay, yeah, okay, thanks God, I got it now. And then boom, and so that's the power of surrender because that happens, when we try to pull the wheel back. I think what was the song? Jesus, take the wheel. And so he's
I
driving
was
us.
just humming that this morning.
How funny. So he's driving us through the storm, right? And then once we're out of the storm, we're like, okay, thanks, I got it now. I'll take over. So
Mhm.
it's a lot of that too. So I just love what you're sharing, and I just kind of wanted to bring that out into some light for those that are listening. But also too, Melissa, like what currently brings you peace in this season?
I have a lot of hope.
Mm,
And if I didn't have hope to cling to, besides, of course, trusting in God, learning to trust in God,
mhm.
seeing the way he shows up in my life, right? Making sure have a heart of gratitude, which is challenging. It
Yeah.
is challenging. Um, repeat the question again,
Yeah,
please.
just what's the thing that brings you peace in your
Peace.
current season? Hmm.
Where I'm focusing right now is really bringing me a sense of peace. What I noticed recently was when I started building my business again, building my platform, building the podcast, just like God was telling me to do all along. I'm focused on what I'm building. I'm focused on where I'm going next, not far in the future because I don't want to be let down again and I don't know his plan yet. But I'm really focused on what I'm working on the positive, on who needs me.
Mm,
And I'm no longer focusing on what happened. I'm no longer focusing on what was taken from me, what was done from me. So it's a real dichotomy. It's a shift from I lost my peace. I lost my joy when I focused on how did all that happen? Why did it happen? Not understanding it, right? I may never know those things. So now I refocus on what I've got here now with my children, raising my children, um, spending moments with them where I am present
mm,
for them. Those things give me peace. They fill me up. I dive into scripture and the book all the time
mhm,
and prayer and constant asking, for forgiveness if you've sinned and just also give yourself boundaries. And I know this might be a little bit of a tangent, but this really is starting to give me a little more peace. I lost my voice, not, vocal cord voice, but, a little more ethereal. Like I
mhm,
lost my voice. I silenced myself, my story, my life
mhm,
for several years now, 2 to 3 years of this. Was in the messy losing everything. And what's giving me peace is listening to God, following Him, starting the podcast again, down a new series of helping other people. And now He's like, okay, now I'm gonna, give you peace and little bits of joy, but also I'm gonna take you somewhere new now.
mm. Wow. I like that you're meant. I mean, gratitude is such a huge thing. That's a practice that I do. Once I wake up, I'm like, thank you, God, for today. Like immediately. Like once I step into the consciousness from sleep into consciousness, I'm like, thank you, Lord, for today. I really try to capture my thoughts because it's so easy when you're operating from an autopilot mind. So many
Mhm.
things start flooding your brain the first sign that you are aware and you start thinking about the day. But I love that you say gratitude and prayer too. Prayer doesn't have to be these formal, let me kneel down, let me get in this like formal posture to go before God. You can do it every day in the middle of traffic or pouring a cup of coffee. Like I talk to God constantly in my mind, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, Lord, help me not be in the flesh to respond in this moment because I really do. Like I really want to. So I like those things. And something that I've been just kind of reminding myself in the moments of challenge, in the moments of transformation, when because we as humans want to see the immediate change, we want to see the immediate fix. And it's God doesn't operate like that. Like he doesn't operate in the immediate. He operates on his own time. And
Mhm.
so a lot of what I tell myself in those moments is not by sight, but by faith. So walk by faith, not by sight. And so I keep repeating that to myself when I'm not seeing it. And then in the gentleness of maybe throughout the day, I will see little glimmers of God's work, and I'm just like, okay, I am encouraged. I can continue through this week. He's working in on those things. So I just love your story, Melissa. What was one lesson you wish your younger self could have understood sooner?
Mm. Ooh, I just got flooded with a whole bunch of messages through my brain there. One lesson my younger self would have learned sooner. I honestly don't think my younger self could have learned anything sooner. I really think everything was by design. I have moments where I've met God before, and I know it sounds crazy. Again, crazy God, a crazy good, crazy God. When you mentioned, not to veer from you, but when you mentioned waking up in the morning and getting flooded with messages, autopilot, I used to wake up with chronic anxiety, chronic overwhelm, and I started meditating. Like before I do anything,
Mhm.
immediately between 3:30 and 5:30 a.m., I am meditating. And that has brought me much closer to God. I've had God moments in my meditations. It's proven like your gamma and your theta, you can go there, you can leave your body and go. And I've met God. I've gone there. It's been incredible. So I don't think that my younger self could have done anything differently. I've had moments where I've met him and I remember them vividly. And I know, and it's not a near-death experience, not at all. I
Yeah.
know that I I am on this journey not to do anything differently by design because you can't. But my faith-based journey has just been everything to me. And I want to continue living authentically. And I think your younger self is kind of put in these buckets or these places, or you're forced to be somebody that maybe you're not.
Mhm.
And all I want to do is show up absolutely authentic to who he made me.
Mm. That's beautiful. Well, Melissa, before we wrap up, I definitely want to give you space to share what you're working on right now. So tell everybody where they can find you, what projects
Oh,
or what projects or programs
that's so
you're
nice of you.
you're coming up with, and how people can connect with your work.
Yeah, well, I'm very connectable. I am open to everybody because, again, I think people operate behind a paywall of some sort, right? Like, I don't think that there's a lot of authenticity right now because you have to be really brave. You have to be really good in your skin. You have to know who you are to really showcase your scars. And I'm willing to do that because that's what he wants from me right now. Um, I'm building my personal brand, and we are Messie Missy. And and he helped me figure this out, who I am right now. I am the helper who is helping midlife women who have gone through divorce or a big life mess, a big life loss. I'm helping you rebuild. I'm helping you build a business and I'm helping you build a beautiful life. And I'm helping you do it not because it's pretty. And so you can follow me, Messie Missy. I have a podcast. I just launched I Lost Everything series. And I have a philanthropic effort behind that series right now. I'm trying to help raise some funds for somebody in need of some dental work. He's lost significant amount of teeth. He's going through cancer. So like I am just out there and I am willing to help women. I have a messy to momentum one-on-one 90-minute session and we're building. And for me, it is all about faith without works is dead. And I really believe that we can build through anything.
Hmm. So, one final question before we say goodbye to those that are listening. If listeners walk away remembering one thing from today's conversation, what would you want it to be?
I don't want you to ever give up. I don't want you to ever feel like you're alone. I started my journey way back decades ago about curing loneliness. Loneliness is a big epidemic right now. And there's comparisonitis. There's this is where I should have been in life. This is, you feel so all alone. Never give up. And I use my story because I mean, I had days I didn't want to be here anymore. Um, Real days, and I have it in writing and it's gut wrenching. But I want to use why I'm here on this planet right now as a way to really help and pour into people. And I never want you to feel alone, no matter how dire your circumstances are, what you're going through, what you're facing, you can get through it and you will.
Hmm. Well, that is beautiful. I just want to say this has been such a powerful conversation. And thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story, your heart, and your wisdom with us today. And to everyone listening, I hope today reminded you that healing is possible, growth is possible, and you do not have to carry everything alone. God is not asking you to fight for victory, He already won. He's asking you to trust Him enough to let Him take over. So, friends, until next time, I'm Angelina, your life coach, sending you much love, much peace, many blessings.